The galaxy was vast, filled with countless species that had built civilizations among the stars. Humanity was one of them, but not a respected one. To many alien races, humans were small, fragile creatures who relied too much on machines and lacked the strength or dignity of older, more powerful beings. Among these critics, none were as vocal or as arrogant as the Zorathians. The Zorathians were a reptilian race, towering over humans with scaled skin that shimmered like polished metal under starlight. Their empire stretched across dozens of systems, and they ruled with an iron grip, viewing weaker species as little more than pests. For years, humanity had tried to gain their respect through diplomacy, trade, and even displays of technological progress. But nothing seemed to work. The Zorathians dismissed Earth as insignificant, a planet barely worth noticing. Commander Leo Grant stood silently in the grand hall of an intergalactic summit aboard a massive space station orbiting a distant star. Representatives from various alien species gathered here once every decade to discuss matters of peace, trade, and cooperation. The room buzzed with conversations in dozens of languages, translated instantly by earpieces worn by all attendees. Leo adjusted his uniform nervously, feeling out of place among the towering figures around him. He wasn't just representing himself, he carried the hopes of billions of humans back on Earth. At the center of the chamber stood Vorik, the leader of the Zorathian Empire. His golden eyes gleamed with arrogance, and his deep voice boomed as he addressed the assembly. "We are here today to ensure order in the galaxy," he began, pacing slowly before the crowd. "But I must remind you all that some lesser species," he paused, glancing pointedly at Leo, "do not deserve a seat at this table." A murmur rippled through the room. Leo clenched his fists but forced himself to remain calm. This wasn't the first time the Zorathians had mocked humanity, but it stung every time. When Vorik finished speaking, Leo stepped forward, determined to make his case. "Respect is earned," he said firmly, meeting Vorik's gaze. "And humanity has proven its worth time and again. We ask only for fairness, not favoritism." Vorik tilted his head, studying Leo like a predator sizing up prey. Then he laughed, a low, rumbling sound that echoed through the chamber. "Fairness," he sneered. "You call yourselves explorers, yet you cling to your fragile ships and weak bodies. You are ants pretending to be giants." His words drew chuckles from some of the other delegates, though others shifted uncomfortably, perhaps sensing the cruelty in his tone. Leo felt heat rising in his cheeks but refused to look away. "Mock us if you will," he replied evenly. "But remember this, even ants can bring down emperors if provoked." Vorik's smile faded, replaced by a cold glare. "Careful, human," he growled. "Your bravado may amuse me now, but arrogance has a way of ending badly for those who cannot back it up." The tension in the room was palpable as Leo returned to his seat. Lieutenant Torres, seated beside him, leaned close. "That could have gone better," she whispered, her dark eyes scanning the crowd nervously. "It doesn't matter what they think," Leo muttered under his breath. "What matters is proving them wrong." Later that evening, aboard their sleek stealth ship, the Shadow Falcon *, Leo and Mia reviewed data on the Zorathian fleet. The ship was humanity's most advanced vessel, equipped with experimental cloaking technology capable of rendering it invisible to even the best sensors. It was a secret weapon, unknown to the rest of the galaxy. As Leo stared at the glowing display, a plan began forming in his mind. If diplomacy wouldn't earn humanity respect, then action would. And the Shadow Falcon * was about to show the galaxy exactly what humanity was capable of. Back aboard the Shadow Falcon *, Leo paced the narrow confines of the command center, his mind racing with possibilities. The humiliation from Vorik's words still burned in his chest, but it wasn't anger driving him. It was determination. Humanity had been underestimated for too long, and now they had a chance to change that perception. But how? He glanced at Lieutenant Torres, who sat hunched over a console, her fingers flying across the glowing interface. "What if we show them?" Leo said suddenly, breaking the silence. Not by shouting or arguing, but by doing something they can't ignore. Mia looked up, her sharp eyes locking onto his. "You mean use the cloaking tech?" Leo nodded. "Exactly. They think we're weak because we don't have brute strength like them. But what about stealth? What about outsmarting them? We've got something no one else does, the Shadow Falcon *. If we use it right, we can make them regret ever mocking us." Mia hesitated, leaning back in her chair. She admired Leo's passion, but she also knew the risks. "It's not just about showing off," she said carefully. "If we go too far, we could start a war. And let's be honest, Earth isn't ready for that kind of fight." "I'm not talking about starting a war," Leo replied firmly. "I'm talking about sending a message. Something subtle enough to make them question their assumptions, but bold enough to get their attention." Mia thought for a moment, then turned back to her console. "All right, let's say we do this. Where would we even start?" Leo pointed to a map displayed on the main screen, a holographic projection of nearby star systems. One location stood out, a heavily fortified Zorathian outpost near Earth's solar system. It was a supply hub, critical for their operations in the region. If humanity could infiltrate it undetected, they'd prove two things: that Earth's technology rivaled anything the Zorathians had, and that humanity wasn't afraid to push back when provoked. "Here," Leo said, tapping the image. "This base is close enough for us to reach quickly, but far enough that it won't immediately trigger an all-out assault on Earth if we're caught. Plus, it's a symbol of their arrogance, a fortress meant to intimidate weaker species." Mia studied the map, her brow furrowed. Infiltrating a Zorathian base isn't exactly subtle. Their defenses are top-notch. Even with the cloaking device, there's no guarantee we'll get in and out without trouble. "That's why we'll keep it simple," Leo explained. "No destruction, no casualties. Just gather intel and leave behind a little reminder that we were there. Something to shake their confidence." Mia raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" "A message," Leo said with a faint smile. "Something clever. Maybe a phrase written in their language or ours. Something they'll understand loud and clear. Humanity remembers." For the next hour, the two worked together to plan every detail of the mission. Maya fine-tuned the cloaking system, running simulations to ensure it wouldn't fail under stress. Meanwhile, Leo reviewed data on the outpost's layout, identifying blind spots in its defensive grid. By the time they finished, both felt a mix of excitement and unease. As the Shadow Falcon slipped silently into warp speed, heading toward the Zorathian outpost, Leo stood on the bridge, staring at the swirling colors outside the viewport. He knew this was a gamble, one that could either earn humanity respect or provoke disaster. But as he glanced at Mia, calmly monitoring the ship's systems, he felt a spark of hope. For once, humanity held the element of surprise, and maybe, just maybe, that would be enough to turn the tide. The galaxy was watching, even if it didn't know it yet, and soon it would see that humans weren't ants. They were players in their own right. The Shadow Falcon approached the Zorathian outpost with painstaking precision. The cloaking device hummed softly as it activated, enveloping the sleek ship in an invisible shroud. To the naked eye, and even to the most advanced scanners, the vessel simply vanished, blending seamlessly into the void of space. Inside the cockpit, Leo and Mia exchanged tense glances. This was the moment of truth. "Hold steady," Mia whispered, her eyes glued to the sensor display. "We're entering their detection range." Leo gripped the controls tightly, his knuckles white. Despite the ship's advanced technology, sneaking past a heavily fortified Zorathian base wasn't something they could take lightly. One wrong move, a single energy spike or miscalculation, and they'd be exposed. The stakes were high, but so was the potential payoff. As the Shadow Falcon drifted closer, the outpost came into view. It was massive, larger than any human structure either of them had ever seen. Towering spires made of dark, metallic material jutted out from its surface like jagged teeth. Dozens of smaller ships orbited around it, patrolling in tight formations. Energy shields shimmered faintly, pulsing with power. To anyone else, it would have seemed impenetrable. But Leo and Mia weren't just anyone. "They're scanning the area," Maya reported, her voice calm but focused. "So far, nothing unusual on their end." "Good," Leo replied. "Let's stay outside their patrol routes for now. We'll slip through once we find a gap." For several minutes, they hovered at the edge of the outpost's defensive perimeter, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Finally, two patrol ships passed each other, leaving a brief opening in their formation. Without hesitation, Leo guided the Shadow Falcon forward, slipping silently into the gap. The tension aboard the ship was palpable as they crossed into enemy territory. Once inside, Mia switched her focus to the internal sensors, searching for access points. "There," she said, pointing to a blinking dot on the screen. "That vent leads directly into one of their maintenance corridors. If we dock here, we can deploy the drones." Leo nodded. "Do it." Mia initiated the docking sequence, guiding the Shadow Falcon toward the designated spot. The ship's robotic arms extended, latching onto the outer hull of the outpost. Moments later, a small hatch opened, releasing a pair of reconnaissance drones. These tiny machines were equipped with cameras and recording devices, designed to gather intel without being detected. As the drones scurried through the ventilation system, Leo and Mia monitored their progress from the ship's command center. The footage streamed back in real time, revealing dimly lit corridors filled with Zorathian soldiers and technicians. Most moved with purpose, completely unaware of the intruders lurking just meters away. Then something unexpected happened. One of the drones picked up voices. Angry voices. A group of Zorathians stood clustered near a control panel, arguing heatedly. Leo leaned closer to the screen, straining to hear the translation software's output. "They're talking about Earth," he murmured, his pulse quickening. Mia frowned. "What are they saying?" "It sounds like plans." Leo's jaw tightened as he processed the words. "Vorik wants to launch an invasion. He thinks humanity is too weak to fight back." Mia's face turned pale. "This isn't just posturing. They're serious." Leo felt a surge of anger but pushed it aside. Now wasn't the time for emotion. "We need to document everything," he said firmly. "Every detail, every blueprint, every conversation. When we leave, we'll make sure the galaxy knows exactly what the Zorathians are planning." For the next hour, the drones continued their mission, collecting data while avoiding detection. Meanwhile, Leo and Mia prepared the final piece of their operation, a message. Using the outpost's own communication systems, they hacked into a secondary channel and left behind a simple phrase written in both English and Zorathian script. "Humanity remembers." When the drones returned to the Shadow Falcon Leo gave the order to disengage. Silently, invisibly, the ship detached from the outpost and slipped back into the depths of space. As they sped away, Mia glanced at Leo, a mix of pride and apprehension in her eyes. "We did it," she said quietly. "Now what?" Leo stared ahead, his expression resolute. "Now we wait, and when the time comes, we strike back, not with fear, but with proof that humanity won't be pushed around anymore." Back aboard the Shadow Falcon Leo and Mia reviewed the data collected during their daring infiltration of the Zorathian outpost. The information was staggering. Blueprints of military installations, supply routes, communication frequencies, and most damning of all, detailed plans for an invasion of Earth. Vorik's arrogance had blinded him to the possibility that humanity might fight back, and now they had evidence to expose his schemes. "This changes everything," Maya said, her voice low as she scrolled through the files on her console. "If we share this with the Galactic Council, it could turn the tide in our favor." Leo nodded, but his expression remained thoughtful. "It's not enough to just expose them," he replied. "We need to show the galaxy that humanity isn't helpless, that we can protect ourselves, and strike back if we have to." Mia looked up sharply. "You're talking about more than just leaking intel. What do you have in mind?" Leo leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table between them. "We hit them where it hurts, not with destruction or loss of life, just enough to make them question their own invincibility. If we target key locations, disable their infrastructure, and leave behind our mark, we'll force the Zorathians to take us seriously." Mia hesitated, weighing the risks. "It's risky. Every action we take could escalate things. What if they retaliate against Earth?" "They won't," Leo said firmly. "Not if we keep hitting them without giving them a clear target. The cloaking tech gives us the advantage. They'll be scrambling to figure out who, or what, is behind these attacks. By the time they realize it's us, we'll have already made our point." After a long pause, Maya sighed and nodded. "All right. But we do this carefully. No unnecessary damage, no casualties. Just enough to shake their confidence." With a plan forming in their minds, they began mapping out targets, supply depots, communication hubs, and secondary weapons facilities scattered across Zorathian territory. Each location was chosen for its strategic importance, but minimal risk of collateral damage. Using the Shadow Falcon stealth capabilities, they would strike quickly and vanish before the enemy even knew what hit them. Their first mission took them to a remote supply depot orbiting a barren moon. As the ship approached, the cloaking device hummed softly, rendering them invisible once again. Leo guided the vessel into position, while Maya monitored the depot's defenses. The facility was heavily guarded, but the Zorathians relied on scanners and patrols rather than intuition. To them, the idea of a completely undetectable ship was unthinkable. "Deploying drones," Maya announced, releasing another pair of reconnaissance units. These machines were programmed to sabotage specific systems, disabling power grids, corrupting data servers, and severing communication links. Within minutes, the depot's operations ground to a halt, plunging the facility into chaos. Before leaving, Leo instructed Mia to transmit their signature message, "Humanity remembers." It appeared on every screen inside the depot, glowing ominously in both English and Zorathian script. Over the next few weeks, similar attacks occurred across Zorathian space. Each strike was precise, calculated, and left no trace of the perpetrators. Rumors spread like wildfire among the alien species of the galaxy. Some speculated that rogue factions within the Zorathian Empire were responsible, while others whispered of a mysterious new player challenging the status quo. The Zorathians themselves grew increasingly frustrated, their pride wounded by the inability to catch whoever was behind the assaults. Vorak, however, refused to believe humanity was involved. Primitive apes couldn't pull this off. He snarled during one heated meeting with his advisors, "Find the real culprits, or I'll hold you all accountable." But deep down, doubt began to creep into his mind. Humanity had been underestimated before, but perhaps not anymore. The attacks on Zorathian facilities continued, each strike more precise and humiliating than the last. Supply lines were disrupted, communication networks collapsed, and entire outposts were left powerless without explanation. The mysterious phrase, "Humanity remembers," appeared everywhere the sabotage occurred, taunting the Zorathians with its simplicity and defiance. For a species accustomed to dominance, the inability to identify or stop their unseen enemy was maddening. Back at the heart of the Zorathian Empire, tensions boiled over. Vorak called an emergency meeting of his war council, his golden eyes blazing with fury as he slammed his fists onto the table. "This is unacceptable," he roared, pacing back and forth. "We are the rulers of this galaxy, yet we're being made fools of by shadows. His advisors shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. None dared to speak up, not after the last commander who questioned Vorek's decisions had been publicly executed for incompetence. But one voice finally broke the silence. It belonged to Kale, a younger but highly respected general known for his tactical brilliance and calm demeanor. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider our assumptions," Kale said cautiously. His tone was measured, respectful, yet firm. "Whoever is behind these attacks knows our systems intimately. They move with precision and purpose, avoiding direct confrontation while exploiting our weaknesses." Vorek turned sharply, fixing Kale with a glare. "Are you suggesting incompetence among my forces?" "No," Kale replied evenly. "I'm suggesting that arrogance may have blinded us. If we dismiss every possibility because it seems unlikely, we risk underestimating the truth." Vorek sneered but didn't respond immediately. Instead, he stalked to the holoscreen displaying maps of the affected areas. Each location was marked with a red dot, forming a pattern that suggested careful planning rather than random chaos. "Fine," he growled after a long pause. "What do you propose?" Kale stepped forward, pointing to the map. "We need to focus less on retaliation and more on understanding. These strikes aren't random, they're calculated. Whoever is doing this wants something specific, to prove they can challenge us. That means they have a message, not just a vendetta." "And what if it's humanity?" Another advisor interjected nervously. "Their stealth ship. What if they've developed technology beyond what we thought possible?" The room fell silent. The idea hung in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous. Vorek clenched his jaw, visibly struggling to process the notion. Humanity, the same species he had mocked and dismissed as weak, was now being considered a legitimate threat. The irony wasn't lost on him, though he refused to admit it aloud. "We'll set a trap," Vorek declared suddenly, his voice cutting through the tension. "If they think they're untouchable, we'll show them otherwise. Deploy additional patrols around key targets, strengthen our defenses, and prepare a fleet to ambush them when they strike again." Kale frowned but nodded reluctantly. He didn't agree with Vorek's aggressive approach, but arguing further would only invite suspicion. As the meeting concluded, he lingered behind, staring at the holoscreen. Something about the situation gnawed at him, a feeling that this conflict went deeper than mere sabotage. Meanwhile, aboard the Shadow Falcon Leo and Mia monitored the Zorathians' movements closely. Their latest attack had pushed Vorek into action, and signs of increased activity near certain targets confirmed their suspicions. The Zorathians were preparing for a counterstrike. "They're onto us," Maya said, her voice tinged with concern. "What do we do now?" Leo leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "We keep going. But next time, we make sure they know exactly who they're dealing with." Mia raised an eyebrow. "You mean reveal ourselves?" "Not fully," Leo clarified. "But we give them enough to connect the dots. Let them see that humanity isn't just fighting back. We're winning." As the Shadow Falcon plotted its next move, the stage was set for a showdown that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Zorathians were no longer laughing, and soon, neither would anyone else. The Shadow Falcon prepared for its boldest mission yet. Leo and Mia knew the Zorathians were expecting another attack, but instead of avoiding detection, they planned to use the enemy's heightened alertness against them. This time, their goal wasn't just sabotage, it was revelation. Humanity would step out of the shadows and show the galaxy that it could not only defend itself, but also outwit a superior foe. Their target was a massive Zorathian supply convoy traveling through an uncharted asteroid field. The convoy carried vital resources destined for the front lines of Vorek's planned invasion of Earth. If humanity could disrupt this shipment, it would deal a significant blow to the Zorathian war machine, while sending a clear message: Earth was no longer an easy target. As the Shadow Falcon approached the asteroid field, Leo activated the cloaking device one last time. The ship vanished from sight, blending seamlessly into the darkness of space. Maya monitored the convoy's movements, her fingers dancing across the console as she plotted their course. "They're moving slower than expected," she said. "Maybe they know we're coming." "Let them think what they want," Leo replied with a faint smile. "By the time they realize what's happening, it'll be too late." The convoy consisted of 3 heavily armored freighters flanked by 6 fighter escorts. To any observer, it seemed impenetrable. But Leo and Mia had studied Zorathian tactics carefully. They knew the weak points, the blind spots in the convoy's formation, where sensors struggled to detect smaller objects. The Shadow Falcon glided silently into position, slipping between 2 asteroids before decloaking directly in front of the lead freighter. For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then alarms blared across the convoy as the Zorathian pilots scrambled to respond. Energy bolts streaked through space, narrowly missing the Shadow Falcon as Leo executed a series of evasive maneuvers. The sleek human ship darted around the larger vessels, its agility unmatched by the cumbersome Zorathian fighters. "Deploying EMP charges," Maya announced, pressing a button on her console. Small pods shot out from the Shadow Falcon attaching themselves to the hulls of the freighters. Within seconds, the charges detonated, releasing electromagnetic pulses that disabled the ship's systems. Lights flickered, engines sputtered, and communications went dark. The convoy came to a grinding halt, adrift among the asteroids. Before the Zorathians could recover, the Shadow Falcon transmitted a final message, not just to the convoy, but to every nearby system capable of intercepting the signal. "Humanity remembers," it read, followed by Earth's coordinates and a detailed list of the Zorathians' own invasion plans, stolen during the previous attacks. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the Shadow Falcon cloaked once more and disappeared into the void. The Zorathian pilots fired blindly into the emptiness, their frustration boiling over into chaos. For the first time, they had seen their mysterious enemy. And it was far smaller, quieter, and smarter than they had imagined. News of the ambush spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Other species watched in awe as footage of the encounter leaked onto public channels. The Zorathians, once feared and respected, now looked foolish and vulnerable. Their arrogance had been exposed, and humanity had proven itself a force to reckon with. Back aboard the Shadow Falcon Leo and Mia shared a quiet moment of triumph. "Do you think they'll back off?" Maya asked, her voice tinged with hope. "I don't know," Leo admitted, "but one thing's for sure, they'll never underestimate us again." As the ship sped away, the galaxy began to whisper about the small blue planet called Earth. Humanity had entered the galactic stage, not with brute strength or flashy displays of power, but with cunning, precision, and resilience. And everyone, friend and foe alike, was watching. The aftermath of the ambush rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. The Zorathians, humiliated by the Shadow Falcon daring attack, found themselves under intense scrutiny from other species. Rumors spread about humanity's stealth technology and tactical brilliance, sparking both admiration and fear. For years, the Zorathians had ruled through intimidation, but now their invincibility was in question. Even their own allies began to doubt Vorac's leadership. Vorac himself was furious. In the privacy of his chambers aboard his flagship, he paced back and forth, his claws digging into the metallic walls as he seethed. How dare they? He snarled, replaying the footage of the ambush over and over again. The sight of the tiny human ship outmaneuvering his forces filled him with rage, but also unease. Humanity wasn't supposed to be capable of such feats. They were ants, fragile and insignificant, or so he had believed. Kale stood nearby, watching silently. He had warned Vorac against underestimating humanity, but his advice had fallen on deaf ears. Now, as chaos brewed within the Empire, Kale saw an opportunity to push for change. "We cannot continue down this path," he said calmly. Our arrogance has cost us dearly. If we do not adapt, we risk losing everything." Vorax spun around, his golden eyes blazing. "Adapt? To what? A race of cowards who hide behind cloaking devices." "They're more than that," Kale countered firmly. "They've shown intelligence, strategy, and restraint, qualities we have dismissed because they don't fit our image of strength. But strength isn't always brute force. Sometimes it's knowing when to fight and when to think." Vorax stared at Kale, his expression unreadable. Then, without warning, he slammed his fist into the wall. "Fine," he growled. "If you think you can fix this mess, then do it. But if you fail, I will hold you personally responsible." Kale nodded, relief flickering briefly across his face. Though Vorax's trust was fragile, it was enough. For now. Meanwhile, humanity's reputation soared. Other alien species, once dismissive of Earth, began reaching out with offers of trade, alliances, and even military support. At a second intergalactic summit held aboard the same space station where Vorax had mocked Leo months earlier, representatives gathered to discuss the shifting balance of power. Leo stood before the assembly, his posture confident but humble. "Humanity does not seek conquest or revenge," he began, addressing the crowd. "We ask only for respect, for ourselves, and for all species, strong or weak. What we lack in size or physical might, we make up for in ingenuity, cooperation, and determination. Today, we offer peace, not out of weakness, but out of strength." His words resonated deeply, especially among smaller species who had long lived under the shadow of larger empires. When Leo finished speaking, applause erupted throughout the chamber, a stark contrast to the mockery he had faced before. Even the Zorathians sent a representative, Kale, who had taken over negotiations after Vorax's forced resignation. As Kale approached Leo after the session, there was no trace of arrogance in his demeanor, only cautious respect. "Your actions have changed the galaxy," Kale said quietly. "For better or worse, humanity is now a player in its own right." Leo met his gaze steadily. "We don't want your fear or hatred. All we want is fairness." Kale nodded slowly. "Then let us start anew." Back on Earth, news of humanity's success brought hope and pride to billions. People celebrated in the streets, looking to the stars with newfound confidence. Leo and Mia returned to a hero's welcome, though they remained humble, knowing their work was far from over. As the Shadow Falcon rested in its hangar, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, Leo reflected on how far they had come. Humanity had proven itself, not through aggression, but through intelligence, courage, and unity. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, but one thing was certain: humanity would never again be underestimated. In the weeks that followed, humanity's place in the galaxy transformed completely. The once dismissed species was now seen as a rising power, small but clever, peaceful yet capable of defending itself when provoked. News of Earth's achievements spread to every corner of the galaxy, inspiring other smaller species to stand up against oppression. For the first time in decades, the Zorathian Empire faced real resistance, not through brute force, but through unity and strategy. Under Kale's leadership, the Zorathians began to shift their approach. Gone were the days of unchecked arrogance and cruelty. Instead, they sought alliances based on mutual respect. Though many doubted their sincerity, Kale worked tirelessly to rebuild trust, even offering aid to planets ravaged by years of exploitation under Vorax's rule. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress, and for some, that was enough. On Earth, life changed dramatically. Advanced technology from allied alien species began flowing into human hands, accelerating advancements in medicine, energy, and space exploration. Cities grew brighter, cleaner, and more connected, while schools introduced courses on interstellar diplomacy and galactic history. Humanity had stepped onto the cosmic stage, and everyone wanted to learn more about these resilient newcomers. Leo Grant became a symbol of this new era, his calm demeanor and unwavering determination inspired countless others to believe in the possibility of change. He spent much of his time traveling between Earth and various alien worlds, fostering relationships and ensuring humanity remained a voice for peace and cooperation. Maya Torres stayed close to him, her brilliance continuing to push the boundaries of what was possible with Earth's growing fleet of ships. The Shadow Falcon now legendary, was retired to a museum orbiting Earth, a reminder of how far humanity had come. Its sleek design and advanced cloaking technology represented not just innovation, but courage. Children visiting the museum would press their faces against the glass, dreaming of adventures among the stars. To them, the ship wasn't just a machine. It was proof that even the smallest voices could be heard if they refused to stay silent. One evening, Leo stood aboard a new vessel, the Phoenix Dawn gazing out at the swirling colors of a nearby nebula. Beside him, Mia adjusted settings on the console, preparing for their next mission. "Do you ever wonder what's next?" she asked softly. "All the time," Leo replied with a smile. "But whatever comes, we'll face it together." Mia nodded, her expression thoughtful. "You know, I used to think we were fighting just to survive. Now, I think we're fighting for something bigger, for a galaxy where no one gets left behind." Leo didn't respond immediately. Instead, he turned back to the viewport, watching as distant stars twinkled like promises. They had proven themselves to the galaxy, yes. But the journey was far from over. Challenges still loomed, old grudges lingered, and new threats would inevitably arise. Yet, for the first time, humanity wasn't facing those challenges alone. Allies had emerged, friendships had formed, and hope burned brighter than ever before. As the Phoenix Dawn slipped into warp speed, heading toward uncharted territory, Leo felt a deep sense of pride, not just in himself, but in all of humanity. From ants to giants, from overlooked to respected, Earth's people had claimed their place among the stars. And though the road ahead would be long and uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity was ready. For the first time in history, the galaxy looked to Earth not with pity or disdain, but with admiration, and perhaps a little bit of awe.